All right, perfect. Just want to make sure it records so I can send the link out if anyone has to leave a little bit earlier, can't make it. So today's Pinterest training is going to be all about Pinterest. Like I said, it's really awesome. It's going to help you grow your email list, website leads, traffic, everything. So let's go ahead and get started. Just very quickly, I'm Adriana, in case you don't know who I am. I'm the founder of the Creative VA Academy and Even the Bee. I'm a former wedding planner and florist and bridal boutique owner turned digital marketer. I'm an ESFJ and Enneagram 2, in case anybody out there is also an Enneagram 2. And I honestly fit it to a T. Most of my friends are 4s, so I guess we go along as 4s and 2s. So I'll admit, I didn't always use Pinterest to its fullest potential. I started doing it back when they like had to add you, that whole like they accepted you, like someone sent you a link and everything. But when I started my bridal boutique back in 2014, we just were thinking of how can we get clients in the door for free without spending money on marketing. And we started realizing that Pinterest was actually a really great way to get people in the door. And then when I started Even the Bee, which is my digital marketing company, I was in the same boat. I was like, how do I grow an email list without spending any money on ads and trying to get more targeted? So I finally started taking a look at my personal Pinterest that I'd had, and it really wasn't that great at first. It was a pretty hot mess. I went ahead and kind of started auditing it and trying to kind of play around with some things. There we go. So once I started using Pinterest to its full potential, my numbers grew, my inquiries grew, my followers grew. I'm currently at 1.2 million or more a month. I get a couple thousand website hits a month, and it grows my email list considerably. And again, I don't spend any money on it. I don't do Pinterest ads because I just really want to keep my business super streamlined. And I've taught Pinterest to a lot of people. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I've been doing this full series, mostly because I've just been getting a ton of questions about it, and it's one of the biggest services I offer. So I've taught similar things on podcasts like the Support Squad membership, Bespoke Content Club, Tuesdays Together. And I also have a new course, the Pinterest Elective, which is going to teach you, if you want to become a Pinterest VA, how to do it all in 7 days. And honestly, I took a lot of this directly from that training because I want you guys to kind of see how my training goes. So a lot of this is actually pulled from there because, again, it's all stuff that I think is super, super important. So super basic, just in case you're in here and you're like, I don't use Pinterest. It is a visual search engine and bookmarking tool. And so what you decide to actually bookmark is called a pin, which is that individual image. And it's going to have that link associated with it. So the link is going to take you straight to that source and learn more about it. I'm going to go over a few different types in a minute. So when you save your pins to boards, it kind of allows you to organize it. I like to think of it as like a virtual mood board in a way, because you're really able to kind of not just target clients, but also kind of share some inspiration. And then similar to other social networking, you can easily follow other boards, follow people, comment, repin, all of that fun stuff, which is actually really nice. There's a really great interactive part of it. And again, if you have questions throughout, feel free to type it in and I can either answer them at the end, or if they're going along with what I'm talking about, I'll answer them in it. So one of the first things I see a lot of accounts, and this is especially true when I take over Pinterest in my company, is that they don't either have a business account or they don't have rich pins set up. And this is going to be one of the first homework assignments in the workbook for you guys if you don't have it already set up. So to set up a business account, the reason you want it is mostly because it's going to open up analytics. And this is going to allow you to see how your pin's doing and let you adjust your strategy each month. It's similar to Instagram, where once you make it a business, it gives you so much more insight on your account. And I think that's super important when you're doing a strategy. I would say 70% of my clients do not have a business account when they start with me. So it's very easy. You just straight up go to business.pinterest.com. Pinterest actually walks you through how to claim your website. And claiming your website is going to ensure that the name and profile picture is going to appear on every single pin you post. So even if it's kind of like a repin, like someone went on your website and pinned it, when you have this all set up, it's going to ensure that your information is on it and it's not just kind of out there in the wild. Sites like Squarespace are going to let you connect it directly in the settings, which is very easy. Some other platforms and do involve what's called a meta tag. I have more detailed info on this in the workbook for WordPress and Squarespace, since those are the two biggest ones I've seen with my clients when we're having to set up the business. So I went ahead and typed out more detailed instructions, which I won't go over in the video because it'll just depend on your platform. And Pinterest Help Center is also really incredible. So once you do your first thing by setting up your business profile or switching it over, if you haven't done it yet, are rich pins. So another thing that a lot of clients don't have right away are rich pins. So rich pins add more data to your pins that are going to show up directly in the pin description. They basically tell Pinterest more information about the type of content you're pinning from your website. And this is a really great way for Pinterest to see that what you're pinning is quality content and to know where it's coming from on the web and how it's getting into Pinterest. So rich pins are one of the best ways to help you rise in the ranks on Pinterest and grow your audience. So one little side note with rich pins, when you apply for them, which I'll walk through in a second, it might take a few days or even a few weeks for it to actually be set up on the back end and for Pinterest to like verify your website and connect them. So whenever you're going through this process, just know that if it doesn't happen tomorrow in 24 hours, check back in a week or so. I've had some clients that take 2 weeks. I've had some clients it takes a day. It just kind of depends on, I guess, Pinterest bots at the moment. Real pins can include, rich pins can include real-time price updates, direct links to your website, and interactive map locations and recipes. So it's great for a ton of different industries. Again, for more detailed setup instructions, I went ahead and put that in the workbook just because, again, I don't want to have to like verbally walk you through all of the steps, but it's very easy. The hardest step is just validating your website, which again, it doesn't take long. It's just one extra little step. It should take you maybe 10 minutes to set this up. So there are 4 types of rich pins I want to go over with you guys so you're familiar with the different types. I know when I first started hearing about rich pins, I was super confused because I didn't understand why they were a rich pin. So one of the first ones is apps. That's for mobile applications. I'm not going to dive into that only because I feel like a lot of people in this group are going to be product, recipe, or article. So if you are an app developer, they do have that option. All right, first up are going to be your product rich pins. This is going to be great for if you have an online store, Etsy, Shopify. So product rich pins let you show the most up-to-date price, availability, and product description on the pins from your website. Now, you must be able to directly buy the product from your website in order to have this activated. So that's why it's great to add it to Shopify and Etsy. If you have a website platform like Showit and you have the Shopify like Lite linked in, that will work as well. So as you see in my example of a MAC makeup product, the listing is going to show you the price, the description, and an image. And this is automatically pulled up from the website. So it's going to update. So if this item goes on sale at Ulta or it's discounted, it's going to pull that up. So it's great for e-commerce because you're not going to constantly have to edit it every time you like discount it. So if you're selling a gown and it's $1,000 off or something like that, you don't necessarily have to do that. If you change it on your website, it will pull that up for you. And of course, when you click on it, it's going to take you directly to Ulta's website to buy the product. So it's very easy for someone to look at it, make a purchasing decision, and go to it directly. Recipe pins are pretty easy and straightforward. This is probably one that I know I'm super familiar with because I love looking up recipes on Pinterest. They include ingredients, cook time, serving sizes, and even ratings. So on a large website like this, where there's a ton of ratings on these cinnamon rolls, it can also display if a recipe is vegetarian, vegan, paleo, or gluten-free. So if you're someone who works with fitness or health people, that this is a great rich pin product for you to know because this is something that your client might be wanting a lot of recipe blogs. So again, with the last image, if you look at it, people directly in Pinterest are going to be able to see ingredients, cooking hours, all of that directly on there. And then when they click it, it'll be pulled up that recipe directly. And this is one that I feel like a lot of you guys might use the most, and this is going to be the article. So this is going to be for blogs, content, online, things like that. So it's going to show you the title, the meta description, which is a snippet that you put in on the back end, the publish date, and sometimes the author's name, or it's going to show like the website's name. So whatever, you know, this one's Style Me Pretty, it's going to show Style Me Pretty. And in the feed, the article pin will actually show the title of the post. So that's great for SEO whenever you're writing it, is you want kind of the title of your blog post to have keywords, which I'll talk about in a minute, in there, because that's very searchable for them. And then you'll be able to see the additional information when you click on the pin. So by Pinterest definition, an article is a page that contains text, like a news article or blog post. They don't consider listings or pages with mostly images and little text to be considered an article. Now, when I work with clients, and I do a lot of wedding blogs, so a lot of the stuff I do is I work with wedding professionals and we blog weddings. One of the reasons we make sure we have 400 to 500 words is for it to be considered an article on Pinterest. So when we make that graphic pin to go along with the article, it's going to be considered that on Rich Pin standards. If it has like 100 words and a ton of images, it's not going to be considered an actual rich pin. It's just going to be a regular pin. So same as before, you're going to go ahead and be able to see the main image that's posted on the blog as the main image you have set up, the title, the description, and all of that. And again, that's automatically pulled up. So if it's updated, it will adjust it for you. All right, so your easy homework is in the workbook. I have this laid out for you as well, is we're gonna go ahead, and if your Pinterest isn't a business account, I want you to make it a business account. I want you to also make sure your website's validated. Even if you have a business account, I would say a handful of my clients come in with a business account, but their website was never validated, which means it's not actually linking to each other. So I want you to make sure that if you have a business account, double check that it's validated. When you go into your settings, it's actually going to say in red, your website is not linked. And when you go into your settings to do all of this, it's going to say your website is not linked in red. So you'll know pretty easily, but I do see that a handful of times where maybe it just is unvalidated. Also, sometimes Pinterest does get glitchy and unvalidate your website randomly. I've had it happen to me, and you just have to reconnect it. It's very easy, but just keep that in mind, that to kind of check that every once in a while, because Pinterest sometimes is weird. And then to sign up for Rich Pins if you don't have that already. And again, I have more detailed instructions in the workbook for different websites. All right, next is not utilizing in its full potential as a search engine. So I know when I first got it started on Pinterest, I just thought of it as visual mood board versus like a keyworded mood board. I definitely was not using it right. And Pinterest is a search engine first and foremost. So 90% of Pinterest users report that the website helps them make a purchase, which I thought was crazy until I read it directly from Pinterest end of the year thing that they send out. So this is especially great if you are selling a product or a service, is that it really helps someone make that purchasing decision. And Pinterest content is going to last forever. An Instagram post will last a week, a tweet, I don't know, like a day. I don't even know what the timeline for that anymore. But Pinterest can really last forever. I mean, think about the last time you clicked on an article and it was from like 2015. You are one of thousands of people to click on that article, and that person is still getting web traffic on something they wrote 5 years ago. Holy cow, it's 2020. That's a little crazy when you think about it. So it's a really great way to have that evergreen content consistently out there for literally years to come. And like Google, Pinterest is going to display the best, most relevant content first. So the Pinterest algorithm judges your content with an internal ranking system that they have to determine who has the best pin. So similar to Google. And it's going to show content in your feed or in your clients or ideal clients feed based on how good the Pinterest thinks it is. So the second one, that's a great question. Gloria just asked, what was the second mistake? The second mistake is not using it as a search engine. So that's the second one. So one thing to keep in mind with Pinterest before I dive into how to use it as a search engine, Pinterest results, because it is SEO, does take a little bit of time. It's not as quick as Facebook or Instagram, where you might get on the front page of something on Instagram and gain like 30 followers. It's definitely a longer term strategy for clients. So whenever I have clients I work with, I let them know that it's like a 6-month minimum strategy, only because the numbers aren't going to grow for a few months. Like, you're going to get good viewer jumps right away, but the numbers are really trying to track, which is actually like website clicks and leads. That takes a little bit longer to grow, just because it is more of a search engine. So super quick, the way SEO works is whatever term you plug into Google is considered a keyword. So keywords are going to be the focus of not just your SEO strategy, but what we're going to use in Pinterest. So your keywords need to be easy to search. So think about what keywords you're using when you're searching. So SEO is about making your online content searchable in that text word. And without great SEO, website or a pin are going to be kind of invisible to search engines. So oh my gosh, every time I move my mouse to move my text, it moves it from the other screen. Okay. So where do you find keywords? One of the easiest places is to literally just use Google. So Google autocompletes when you start typing and it's telling you all of these other keywords is a great way to start finding keywords related, because you don't want to only just use social media strategy in every single pin. That obviously is going to become monotonous. You want to, kind of find how can we use keywords that are similar search terms. So on the left is just an example, social media manager. When I typed this up yesterday, this is what comes up right away. So salary, virtual assistant, jobs, resume, kind of things that you might want to tie into your strategy. And then another great option is when you scroll to the bottom of Google, before you get to all the O's at the bottom, it's going to show you similar as well. So this one I just did virtual assistant. So it's going to show you some searches related. So those are some great keywords to start pulling into your strategy. Because if someone else is searching for them and they're that high up, then there's a good chance you're going to find the right client with it. And another great tool is just to use Pinterest. You can use Pinterest just like Google. You can easily do a search. You can use, when you start typing it into Pinterest, it has that auto populate that Google has as well. So again, social media and virtual assistant, just 2 basic search terms. You're going to see some other related keywords that you can use. And then when you actually type it in, I love that it's super colorful in Pinterest, but they actually at the bottom, after you hit enter, are going to show you those keywords at the bottom in colors that are similar. So that is exactly what Pinterest has found, that when someone types in social media, that's also what they're looking for. Kind of funny that social media detox was a top one this week when I pulled this screen share. Guess it's the new year. So this is an easy way to be able to find the keywords. So where are you going to put these keywords? Oh, Google Trends. Yes, that is actually a really great idea. Someone just messaged me and said Google Trends. Google Trends is another great one, especially if you're doing long-term content. So if you're kind of thinking in advance for a client, like what's our 3-month, like quarterly strategy? You're right, because if you're working with wedding professionals, engagement season, it happens starting in November, but we're going to want to keyword their engagement stuff a couple months prior. So it's, up there in the ranks. So that's very good. I thank you for suggesting that. That's very smart. I do love Google Trends. I'm signed up. If you guys ever on, you can get like Google signups. So popular articles come up for certain search terms. I get like 10 a day in my inbox, and sometimes it drives me crazy, but it gives you can like look up and get emails based off certain search terms. So you can be like on top of trends. So where are we going to put our keywords? Everywhere. Seriously, everywhere. Your keywords are going to go in your pin title, your pin description, your board description, board title, your bio, and you can even put it on the Pinterest graphic. So Pinterest can read text in images. Kind of is crazy how technology can literally read that, but they can. So while not all of your pins are going to, be more graphic, like I have on the screen, like how to write the best pin title. Whenever you're creating graphic pins, keep in mind that Pinterest can actually read your title directly, which is super cool. So just on this example, this is just clicking on one of my pins. As you see, keywords are automatically showing up in 3 spots without ever even opening the article. So those are 3 opportunities for a potential client to be searching for a keyword there and to see it come up. So it's great to kind of do it everywhere. And then also hashtags. So similar to Instagram, you can type in a hashtag and see results. On Pinterest, they are displayed in order of newest to oldest automatically. So there's just one setting. Since the results are chronological, you can't necessarily do anything to stay in those rankings up high, except for just continuously scheduling, which I'll talk about a little bit in a few minutes. But I still encourage you guys to use a few hashtags on Pinterest just to help with a consistent strategy. So while it doesn't guarantee you'll stay at the top forever, it does help for in the moment searching. This is especially great for non-evergreen content, so things that are like seasonal and trends. And you would use these just at the end of a description. You don't need to use them in the title, and you don't necessarily need to use them on the image at all. The only places that I would really recommend you using them is just in the actual description. So in my example post, it's underneath the title. And Pinterest recommends you don't use a ton. They say their sweet spot is 5 to 10 and to keep it under 20. So I typically do 5 to 8 and just make it very targeted to what that item is. So how do we write the best keyword descriptions? So to write the best possible captions for you, or if you're doing this for a client, is to have to put yourself in their shoes or, in your mind and think, what would my type of client be searching into the search bar of Pinterest to find this content? You kind of have to step back and think, how are they searching to find it? And I want you to start really thinking of Pinterest as attracting those clients. So I recommend using 5 or so keywords within your sentences of the pin description, and that's that longer tailed section, as well as, again, adding maybe a few hashtags at the end, 5 to 10. I personally like to write my captions with like a question or statement of focus as the first sentence. That way we have a keyword towards the front, followed by 1 to 2 sentences describing the solution or what the actual content is about. And then I'll typically add some kind of call to action. One tip is you don't actually want to write click here or click as a word. Pinterest will flag that as spam, which is a newer thing the last few months I've been seeing, that people in Pinterest groups are saying, okay, I can't write click anymore. It is flagged as spam. So don't necessarily say like click here to learn more. You kind of have to be a little bit more subtle with it. So for example, want to learn how to become a virtual assistant and work from home? Everything you need to start and grow your creative virtual assistant business is in the Creative VA Academy. Hashtag virtual assistant, hashtag virtual assistant course, hashtag work from home, hashtag digital course, hashtag creative jobs. So it starts, can you say follow? So Lourdes just asked, can you say follow the link to? Yes. I think that would be a good way to get around the click on my link spam, is to say follow the link to. I think that one, I haven't seen any issues with that, with using follow versus click. I think they've just literally just flagged that word as a spam. So I just like to kind of have it be either a question or like a statement. So, and keep in mind that when you are scrolling on Pinterest, in the description, the first like 100 to 150 characters are what are going to show up right away automatically in the smart feed. And then you have to click to see the full set. So just keep that in mind, that your first sentence or two are going to be the ones that are going to be seen right away on your smart feed. And that's when you're scrolling on your Pinterest is the smart feed. So just keep that in mind. All right, so here are the action steps for keywords. I want you to research and write down the keywords that you're going to start using in your Pinterest strategy. Now, if you've already been doing this, take some time to look and see have you updated any of them anytime soon? Are there ones, have you done a search recently since trends do change? I have room in the notebook for you guys to fill it out as well. If you do this as a Pinterest VA, I would also continuously take a look at your clients. Every few months, I relook at our keyword strategy because things change, trends come, trends go, especially in the wedding industry. So it's good to always kind of have that in the back of your mind to be refreshing and looking. In the workbook, you can write down 10 to 15 keywords you can start using. That way you start having a bank of them. I personally keep them for all of my clients. I just have a spreadsheet that has them. And then we'll, if something's not working anymore, we'll remove it. But even just a basic note on your computer can help consistently. Okay, so this is one of the biggest ones, and I will be super transparent. I sometimes get clients fighting me on this a little bit because they don't necessarily want their Pinterest to not be exactly what they envision. Like they want it to be a lot more personal. And that is to not use your Pinterest to target your audience. So your Pinterest isn't for you. I'm sorry. I know that sounds super counterintuitive, but once you start using it and thinking of it as a search engine and driving traffic and using it to find your ideal clients and grow your tribe, you're going to start reaping the benefits. I know when I went from using my Pinterest as looking at cat pictures and any cat pattern item I could find, went through a trend where everything I owned had cats on it. When I actually got into the strategy, I was able to start attracting ideal clients. So we're going to revamp your Pinterest today, guys. So before implementing a great Pinterest strategy, you need to do an audit of your current Pinterest account. So I want you to take the time to start thinking about the audience you're wanting to attract. What problems are you going to be solving for what I call your client avatar? So everything I do in my business is speaking and directed towards my client avatar. And that is my dream client. That is who I want to work with every day of my life. Even my Pinterest is attracted to them or trying to attract them. So think about how are you going to actually be providing content as well? Is it going to be blogs, videos, tutorials? What topics are you going to create that they're going to want to consume? So for example, if you work with social media for spa owners, what question is a person going to be asking about social media related to either the spa industry, a storefront, something where clients come in? It's a lot different when clients are coming in for a service than when they're purchasing online. So how can you, write articles or come up with things that are going to be speaking directly to that client? If you want to offer Pinterest for wedding professionals like what I do, what are some questions that they're going to have on Pinterest, or maybe do a series of blog articles on why wedding professionals need Pinterest, how the seasons go in the wedding industry and how you can adjust your Pinterest strategy for it. Start thinking of original content you can create and target this audience. I want you to also think of what keywords are they searching for. We're going to be using those like we talked about earlier in everywhere on the pin, the title, the description. You're also going to want to do that in your board descriptions. So your individual boards, you're going to want to not just have pretty pictures, you're going to describe what's in the board. So start thinking about who your ideal client is. And in the workbook, I have a little prompt as well for if you haven't dove into your client avatar yet, I have a little prompt that's going to kind of help you start visualizing, okay, what is my client looking for and how can I provide them the content on Pinterest that they're going to want? And also think about the visuals of how you want your Pinterest to look. It's a direct reflection of your brand. So you want to keep that in mind visually. So what is your branded personality? Is it positive and outgoing, or, light and airy, or serious and more informative and more kind of to the point? And what are the colors, the fonts, the patterns, and how can you incorporate that into your Pinterest and into your graphic pin? So whenever you're creating those vertical pins, how can we be pulling all the elements of your brand together? It's an extension of your brand. So a lot of times if a client's looking for you, they might be looking at your Pinterest. And if your Pinterest looks nothing like your website or like your branding, it might be confusing and they're like, oh, well, they're not super consistent. And again, think about what type of items are you going to be focusing on. So just for example, what I mean is my website for the Academy and Ava and the Bee and the Instagram, it's cohesive. It's the same colors throughout. It's the same fonts throughout. So when you click on my Pinterest, I make sure that the cover board is going to have pins directly from me. So the colors are going to be consistent. I make sure that the board covers are going to have the same color feel as my whole branding for both Ava and the Bee and the VA Academy. So just think of it as how can we visually make it appealing so when someone clicks on it, it visually looks like your brand. So like I said in the workbook, I'm going to have a few prompts for you to think about your ideal client. I want you to really think about, what's their age? What's their job? Where are they located? What's their design aesthetic? Because that's going to kind of be similar. Are you trying to attract super ultra modern boutiques? Well, then maybe your branding and your Pinterest might be a little bit more directed to that, so you're attracting them. When they land on your Pinterest or website, what were the search terms that got them there? So what are they, hoping to get out of your services? How are they landing on your site and finding you? And what challenges are they facing? Because no matter what service and what industry you're in, you're solving a challenge. You're solving an issue that this client has, whether it's blogging or selling a product. They need this product for a reason, for an event, for a time of their life. What is it that you're solving for them, and how are you going to help them with those challenges? So this is not just for Pinterest. This kind of goes with your whole brand and your whole message and how you target. And think about, some topics they're searching on Pinterest. And one thing is you can reach out on Instagram and just ask, what do you guys use Pinterest for? Like if you have a lot of your ideal client following you, but they're not, you're trying to up your Pinterest game. When I first got started, I would ask, I'd be like, all right, Instagram, like, what do you guys want? And I found that a lot of people were asking for, social media tips and certain tips. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to start making that content because that's what they want. So never be afraid to just ask your audience directly and then base your decisions off of that. And when it comes to your boards, one of the first things we're going to do in your Pinterest audit, once we have your client avatar, you have a better idea, is we're going to cleanse your boards. I know you might want to just pin everything you see to get a ton of content, but it's really important to focus on pins that are on brand and what you want your ideal client to see. If your ideal client is super sophisticated and doesn't do bright colors, don't pin a ton of bright colors, or vice versa. If your client is bright and vibrant and they love those neons, then why don't you pin some of that? So we're going to go ahead and have you cleanse some boards. Remove any boards that are not a direct target of your audience and add boards that are going to target your audience. So if you have a ton of recipe boards, which I do, you make them secret. I'll show you in a few slides, just super quick, how to do it. You're going to want to make it secret. That way you can still pin to them and it's still there, and I can still have one covered in cats, but the content isn't going to be public, because as much as I want my clients to love cats, maybe they don't. So why would I have my cat board? So another quick important step is to not mass delete boards. I've had some clients be like, oh, just delete them. You don't want to delete a ton at once. It can be seen as, again, spammy. Pinterest is like the pickiest thing in the whole wide world when it comes to like flagging your account. I don't understand, but like the smallest thing will flag it. So don't mass delete your boards. Instead, there's a feature called archive, which I'll show in a second. You're going to want to actually just archive them or make them secret. So if it's a board you don't pin to anymore, just archive it, or just make it secret. So once you've done your initial cleanse and you've gone through and said, okay, these boards I want to keep or I don't want to keep, start to think of 10 to 15 boards to create. So maybe create 5 this week and 5 next week. And in the book, I'm going to have some room where you can start thinking about, again, based on your client ideal client avatar, what are boards that they're going to want to see. So super quick, what I was talking about, when you click on a board and go edit, you're going to see visibility here in the middle. Keep this board secret. Ah, we got a good tip. Lourdes, can I share it? Okay, cool. I got a cool tip. She says, I definitely look at competitors for ideas on boards. Yes, me too, all the time. I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at your competitors. I mean, I don't think you should ever like be super caught up and like try to be just like them. But oh yeah, I've totally looked at competitors. And if I go on someone who offers similar services as me and they have a board that I really like, I'll make my own. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If they have a board that I'm like, you know what? That's a great idea. I'll totally make it. So yes, always look at inspiration and see, hey, they're pinning this and it looks like it's doing well. Totally do that. So you can make it secret. And then at the bottom, you can archive. Another option is to merge. So that's if you currently have like 7 wedding boards and you only want one of it. So maybe you have like 3 on wedding gowns and you want to merge them. You can just click merge and it'll let you merge things together. So that's just a little hack if you have a ton that are similar. And it's important to always be setting yourself apart as the leader and the expert in your field. So whether it's your website, your social media, and your Pinterest. So when it comes to naming your boards, keep them simple. Keep your titles and descriptions simple and searchable. I used to have my recipes as like yum and like super random. Make sure that they're easy to search. So if you're working with a fitness person, healthy recipes, keto recipes, make sure you're dividing them and making them just whatever someone would search for. For virtual assistant tips, tips for outsourcing, XYZ service you offer tips. So if you offer a super specialized service like workflows, things like that. Just start, and keep the descriptions again, simple, to the point. For wedding pros, you can have location boards, local venues, bridal gowns, stationery, things that potential clients might be looking for. So always keep it simple. And again, if you need more ideas, go to the Pinterest search bar and see what is coming up that's similar. So if you're a logo designer, maybe you want a few that are branding, maybe how can we include that as well? So again, keep it simple. If it houses quotes, call it quotes. I used to call mine words of wisdom. No one's searching words of wisdom, guys. Realized that the hard way. I had that up for 5 years. No one looked for it. When I changed it to quotes, got way more. So make it specific, and to the point. And then lastly, I don't want you to forget about your bio. This is another one that's a super easy assignment we can do. Your Pinterest bio should have, and a great question. So as a business, should all your pins be your own or maybe designate some boards as inspiration? That is a great question. So you want to keep it, I think I cover this in a second, but I'll go ahead and say it now. You want to keep it a decent amount of your content, but also a lot of inspiration. If you get to the point where you are only sharing your content, let me pause. I actually should talk about it a little bit more in depth in the next slide. So I'll finish this slide and then I'm going to answer that because as I'm looking ahead, I cover this a little bit deeper. So super quick, we're going to go ahead and update your bio. We wanted to include what you do or how you serve people. I have a little walkthrough in the worksheet as well. A photo or logo. If you're a solopreneur, I really like having pictures. I think having your picture is great if it's just mostly you or a small team. If you're more of a large end brand or you don't necessarily want to be the face, you can definitely use a logo. But if you're like a VA or freelancer, have your picture. It puts a face in the name. And again, put keywords in your bio because that is searchable. So when someone is searching, digital marketing wedding pro or something, that's going to allow me to come up because it's directly in my bio. So for example, digital marketing for wedding professionals and creator, the VA Academy digital courses. Super to the point. This is a client of mine, destination wedding photographer for disconcerting couples with adventurous souls, made in Lake Como, based in San Fran. Their bio has, destination wedding photography. They serve adventurous couples. They're located in Lake Como in San Francisco. So there's a little bit more playful than mine, but that's their client. So in the workbook, I'll have a section for you. Okay, so this is going to come back to that question. So does what I pin really matter? And the answer is it does. So when pinning content, first of all, make sure it is on brand. Remember, you're pinning for yourself. When I am in Tailwind, which I'll talk about in a second, you can see kind of like Planoly, where you can see your like feed. If I see something that stands out, I remove it or I remake it. So if it's one of my pins, I'll go, okay, tried a new color. It looks awful. I want to make sure, because Pinterest recently in the last few months started rolling out a new view. So it used to be when you clicked on Pinterest, it was just your boards and it didn't have your feed of images. Recently, it has been rolling out in the last few months that you actually have a feed of images. So we are no longer just seeing your boards. So you need to make sure your feed, like your Instagram feed, is visually cohesive, because again, we're going to try to target them. So whenever I'm using Tailwind, I'll look through my feed for the next week and I'll say, do any of these stand out in a bad way? And if they do, I'll remove them. Just that way against like an Instagram. And start thinking about repinning content that's going to be similar to what your client's looking for. And this goes along with that. So don't only pin your content. That's another thing I see a lot when I start working with clients, is their Pinterest is all of them. And that's great. We want a ton of your content, but it's also, it is, you know, it's just retention, but it's still social. You need to be, you know, resharing pins, repinning. And again, Pinterest, if they see you are only pinning from one domain, so your website, you can be flagged as spam. And if you are flagged as spam, getting your Pinterest back is so hard. Have had to do it. It is so hard. So I have had clients come to me and say, I want to work with you, but my account has been flagged. It's real hard to get your account not flagged. So don't just only have it come from your website. When I work with clients, like I recommend, you know, a good 50 to 60%. If you have a ton of content, a little bit more, with the rest inspirational. So on some weeks, if I don't have a blog post going up that week, it's going to be a lot more inspirational. And that's fine, because the week after I might have more of my original content. So depending on how much content you're pumping out, whether it's weekly or monthly, it's okay to have some weeks where you're pinning more inspirational and some weeks more your own. It's cool to kind of ebb and flow, and that's how we work with clients as well. So if they don't have a blog post up this week, you know, we'll focus on some of their content, but also, you know, make that week a little bit more inspirational. And then when they post that blog, it's more them. I'm just doing a wave. I hope that it makes sense. So yeah, keep it a consistent variety of inspiration. And one tip I have is that if you are, I'm going to use weddings for an example, because that's all I know in life, is if you are a wedding planner and you just blogged an incredible wedding that you planned, and there are a ton of cool elements like stationery, floral, shoes, pin those in your inspiration board. So as a planner, I would want you to have an invitation board, a wedding gowns and accessories board, or wedding gowns and accessories technically as two separate is my preference. A floral board. You would want to have all these different boards. So when we pin your blog, it is going to be filtering those images into those as well. So when we look at your flower board, it is going to be both flowers from businesses, or flowers from things that you have done or you have planned if you're a planner, as well as inspiration. So we'll always have a main board that is going to house a majority of your content. So you're going to have that main board that's like on the blog, and then we're going to be filtering in your content throughout your other blogs as well. Please let me know if that didn't make any sense. Sometimes it's hard to like explain the SOP, like the actual process of when we're pinning onto different boards, but the goal is to have it be a variety. So homework for this one is, in your workbook, I want you to start working on your ideal client avatar, and that way you can start focusing on them. If you already have your avatar, I always encourage you to continuously update it. My girl changes. She has a full life story. I'm not going to dive into it. But like her life story changes. So sometimes it's good to kind of keep up with who my ideal is shifting. Create 5 to 10 new boards that are going to reflect this client. Make any boards that don't apply to your ideal client secret or archive. But again, don't mass delete. Ensure each board has a detailed description with keywords, and update your bio to include some keywords. And lastly, just a super quick bonus one, because I feel like if I don't talk about Tailwind, it's kind of silly because Tailwind's awesome. A big mistake I see is that people don't necessarily automate their Pinterest. So one of the keys is going to be consistency. So Tailwind, super quick, if you're not familiar with it, it's an approved Pinterest scheduling tool. It's going to let you continuously pin. It's like Planoly kind of for Instagram, but for Pinterest. It's going to schedule them out automatically, and it's also going to help you create strategic times. They're going to capture that ideal audience when they're on Pinterest. So that's called, they're going to have like a smart feed of times. So when we actually go in, you're going to start pinning using Tailwind. So you'll pin and it'll go through the Tailwind app versus pinning directly. You can still, whenever you're on Pinterest, repin. It's great to still be active on Pinterest and not just rely on Tailwind, but it's great for, you know, majority of your pinning. It is one of the best ways. I have used other platforms like Hootsuite and Buffer. I personally find that that Tailwind is the best, hands down. And if you're serious about your strategy, it is a paid tool. But for me, the pay for what I get, my return on investment is, I think it's like $12 a month. It is not enough for me to not use it, because it does that great for us. So, and they do have a free trial. So your first, I think it's 100 pins are free. So you can easily test Tailwind and say, yes. And honestly, I've never met anyone who hasn't tried Tailwind and been like, that was awful. They always love it because they're like, holy cow, this is incredible. I have a whole section where I dive super deep into it in my course, but I'm not gonna bore you guys with too many details on it in case you already have Tailwind. Great question, Gloria. Do you ask the client to pay Tailwind and just give you access as a VA? Yes. Any service like that, including Planoly and Tailwind, they pay for, and then just give us username login access. I like that for a few reasons. One, obviously, if we don't work together anymore, you know, I'm not having to be like, oh, here's your Tailwind, take over. Like, they have control over it. And it's a lot of my clients would prefer to, you know, be able to access it. So yep, my clients, they pay for it. It is a requirement to have Pinterest. As a client, they are required to have a Tailwind account. We'll set it up for them, but they are required to at least like put their card on file for it, give us the username and login. So I am obsessed with bulk scheduling. I could do a whole chat on how much I love it. But Tailwind makes bulk scheduling super easy. The automated scheduler, like I said, is going to pick out times. This is just a screen share of it from earlier this month. I guess last month, December. Holy cow. So when you sign up, Tailwind's going to select times that are based on your audience already. You don't even have to do any of the legwork. I personally suggest 8 to 15 pins a day for you, or if you're doing this for a client. You don't have to do more than 20. I do about 8 to 10 a day, and I've hit 2.5 million as my highest, and that was at 8 a day. So the numbers are not, how much you pin a day is not necessarily, you don't do 20 to 30 a day. I've had clients come to me and be like, I pin 50 times a day. I'm like, whew, no, let's not do that anymore. Let's keep it, let's not do that. So 8 to 15 is kind of, I found the sweet spot. So like I said, all you have to do is queue it in. You're going to want the browser extension. This is, again, kind of like Pinterest. If you have the pin button on your extension, you'll click it, it'll pin it. This will just queue it through Tailwind. And it's amazing. I just wanted to touch on it really quick. As we get to the very end, we are almost done. Just wanted to touch on that. So what we went over. So Tailwind is an approved Pinterest partner. Tailwind schedules. You pin items. Let's see. Okay. So I just fast forward a little early, but that's totally fine. You want to make sure your Pinterest is a business account. You want to sign up for Rich Pins. You want to start using it as a search engine, which includes keyword research. So remember, we can do that on Google and Pinterest. Your homework is going to be making it a business account, making sure you have Rich Pins, doing your keyword research, and then doing an audit of your account. So you're going to do a cleanup and audit. You're going to go through, you're going to delete those old boards, or I'm not going to delete them, sorry. You're going to make secret or archive any boards that are not relevant to your client. You're going to create 5 to 10 new boards. Remember, we want to have keyword and simple titles, and we're also going to want to have keywords in your description because that is all searchable. It's all searchable. So let's remember those lovely keywords. And then you're going to want to sign up for Tailwind if it's something that you want to continue your Pinterest strategy and you don't have Tailwind yet. I'm not like a spokesperson. I wish they would pay me to be. I'm not. I just really think it's awesome. And I'm the kind of person where I try everything and then I just suggest what I think is best. And I think Tailwind's awesome. So super quick, very end. I hope you guys love the training. If you have questions, start typing them in the group now so I can answer any remaining questions. If you are interested in any way of offering this as a service, I have created a course for that because I got a lot of people being like, how do you become a Pinterest VA? I have the VA elective. It's going to teach you how to become a Pinterest VA in 7 days. I think it's quite lovely because I have poured my heart and soul in the last 4 months into it. So I don't think that, doing this can be super confusing and overwhelming. In this, it's going to be set up in a 7-day structure. It's going to allow you to learn everything in that you can have your business set up in 7 days. I literally even talk you through how to set up a business. If you have never set up a business before and you're not a VA already, totally fine. I got you. I added a module in recently. A few weeks ago, I added it in because I realized, what if someone wants to accept money and doesn't have a bank account? So I walk you through all of that. So don't worry. If you have any questions on that, feel free to ask me. It's going to go over Pinterest, SEO, targeting your market as well as your client's market, automating, Tailwind, how to create pins, how to price, package, how to pitch your services, how to onboard, client management, analytics and tracking. There's so much in it. I don't want to waste any more of your time. I want to get to questions. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to be giving you a discount on it because y'all are awesome. So you're going to be able to join for, it's $197 normally. You'll be able to join for $97. This coupon code workshop is going to be through the 18th. It will officially launch the 14th. I opened the cart I think last night, so you can technically buy it and start it on Tuesday. It's just going to go live on Tuesday. I always like to quadruple check everything before I have anything online because I don't trust technology. So if you use the code workshop, I'm going to send this out in an email as well. Don't worry about it. I will send a link email that's going to have this so you can easily sign up. And it'll be just $97. That's just through this week. I'm never offering that again. That is just because it's the beginning of the year. And if y'all want to do this, time is now. Because I procrastinate sometimes. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. Okay, there are a few questions in the chat. Let me just pull up the chat really quick and answer questions. Okay, is it a bad idea to create pins with your own content but that aren't necessarily published online anywhere? So are you saying that it is content that doesn't link anywhere? So if it does not link, and okay, she says yes. So if it doesn't link, I would try to have it link somewhere, because if someone clicks on it, the goal of Pinterest is website clicks. So the shining moment of Pinterest is when someone clicks on it, and so I have to blog. Yes. I wish there was an easier solution, but blogging is great for this because it needs to house it, because the goal when someone clicks on your Pinterest is to go somewhere. If someone sees your incredible service and doesn't have a place to go, they're never going to book you. So we need to give them a direction. We need them to have it and go somewhere. If you choose to make that a blog post, I encourage that because you can explain whatever it is you're talking about. If it is a portfolio piece. So if you have a portfolio of something, you can have it linked there. Just keep in mind, if it doesn't link to relevant content, it is going to, someone's going to bounce, and if someone immediately clicks out of something, it bounces, and that will give you a high bounce rate, which you don't want. You do not want someone to click on your website and go, oh, this isn't what I wanted, and then just X out. That is a bounce rate. We don't want that. So for SEO purposes for your website, which is, just as important as your Pinterest, if not really, more at the end of the day, I would encourage you to have it linked to something. Can you expand on portfolio concept? So I have a client who is a planner, and we are working on blogging all of her past weddings. However, at the moment, she does not have images from all of them. She's a planner, not the photographer. It takes some time for us to get that. So what we have on her website are portfolio pages. So when you are on her homepage and you click to see more, like see more weddings, it pulls up, instead of a blog post, it pulls up a portfolio. So it's going to pull up like a gallery, like an image gallery. So an image gallery, which includes, it's kind of like a blog post, honestly. We're just having it go to an image gallery until we have the blog post written, and then we'll switch the URL out. So it needs to go somewhere, because if it doesn't go anywhere, then it's just going to be a bounce rate / people aren't going to actually know what your service is. Let me know if I answered that fully for you. Is this module in the VA course, or is it separate? So the Pinterest, okay, so the Creative VA Academy, my signature course, does have a section on Pinterest. It does. It has a bonus training. The Pinterest VA elective is deeper. So the Pinterest VA elective is about you taking that Pinterest and turning it into a service. The Pinterest course in the Academy is more about how to master Pinterest for you to use it. So it's not as in depth. So there's 3 modules in the Academy. There are 7 in the elective. So a lot more in depth. So if you want to become a Pinterest VA, if you want to start a business up from scratch and like 100% not just offer Pinterest, then what's great is the Academy is going to walk you through all that. But the Pinterest elective is more Pinterest focused. The Academy is for a variety of services. This is like my fine-tuned version, because to add that to the Academy would have added like so much, and not everyone wants to be a Pinterest VA. So it's a lot more of a deep dive. It doesn't quite dive as deep into building a business. That's definitely a lot more in the Academy, because the Academy walks you through literally everything from website to branding to everything. The elective walks you through the Pinterest side of creating that Pinterest part of your business. So on the portfolio, we would create a gallery that is not public, but that is linkable for Pinterest. I mean, you could definitely have it linked to a gallery that is not like public on your website. However, I would have some kind of call to action. You need to have a call to action that's see more of my work here, book here, read more about what we do. You want to lead them on an adventure. You want them to stay on your website and continue clicking. So if it goes just to a gallery and like literally nothing else, I don't think it's going to benefit you nearly as deep. I would encourage you to have some kind of call to action at the bottom, whether it is see more work, book me, just some kind of call to action, just so they're staying on your website. Does anyone else have any other questions? I know we are 3 minutes over time, so I just wanted to make sure if there's any other questions. If there are other questions you have, please, you can either shoot me an email, you can message me on Instagram at AvaInTheBee. I would love to answer any questions you guys have on the training today. If you need some help, if you're doing it and you have questions on auditing and you're like, I don't understand, or do these boards look like a good idea? Totally just shoot me an email or message. I'll look at your Pinterest and I'll kind of help you walk through it and come up with suggestions for boards too. So anything you guys need, I would love to help. I absolutely love Pinterest. And since it's one of my biggest services, I'm on it like all the time. So it's kind of nice. I get to do it all day and I love it. So thank you guys so much for attending. Again, any questions, please let me know. I hope you guys have an awesome Thursday. Wow. Sorry, time flies really fast for me and it blows my mind. I hope you guys have an incredible Thursday. Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you so much, Adriana. This makes Pinterest less of a labyrinth in my mind. Good. I promise. Once you start, when I first started, I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to do this. Like, what am I thinking? It sounds like a whole new obstacle. I promise we'll make it easy for you. Any questions? Thank you, guys. Any questions, again, just let me know. I'd love to take a look at your guys' Pinterest. Have an awesome day.